Ah. Oh. Oh.
What is happening? Oh. Creatures! Creatures are rising out of my pajamas. Yes. It's Saturday morning. Gotta hide this window, 'cause I get recursion. What is that noise? What the? Oh. Ah. This is coffee with a little in there. Sweet, sweet nectar. Thank you, Captain Tozuk. And we're kicking off live because the caffeine's here. So, and you guys are here. I'm here. And the Concerto of the Lumberheads. What? The Dwarven Brothers Healing Problem. Oh, yeah, Chris. Yeah, those guys are awesome. Okay, so we're early. We're sitting here. We're staring at Photoshop. I just have there's just nothing happening. I'm here bathing in the nuclear fire of my overexposed camera as usual. I can't figure out why that thing's so bright. Actually, I probably could figure it out if I applied myself for more than a few seconds on the problem. Hey, first of all, everybody, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. If you're here at 9:30 in the near future, then you can watch this part later. So before we jump into what I'm doing this morning, just basically just this is like a work session almost. We already getting a cool discussion going here in the chat channel about a fantastic topic, which is death, character death, not the actual phenomenon of human death. Or forget human death, death in general. That's an even bigger topic. Anyways, what we're talking about is RPG character death. And I've noticed the funniest thing when bringing this topic up is it's very polarizing, very charged kind of topic. And I've encountered sort of two approaches to talking about it. Hey, Echo Grave, I see you, dude. Welcome. There seems to be sort of two camps. One camp is there's a sort of a sincere, aspirant dungeon master approach to talking about character death, and then there's like a flippant sort of whatever kind of approach to talking about death. I think it's actually one of the things that is really worth thinking deeply about if you're dungeon mastering, is how to feel justice at the time of death. It doesn't have to be epic. You don't have to, worry about hurt feelings and stuff like that. But I do think like a sense of justice, of game design justice needs to be served. And it can be very difficult thing to actually balance. And I think that's why you get some people kind of responding with this flippant attitude of, kind of like, hey man, sucker's gonna die. You're dead, fool. And I as fun as that is, and it's kind of attitude-wise, I do think that could leave a player feeling pretty crummy. Unless, he's like level 23 and like you've been playing for way too many years and he's actually just wanting to get rid of the character. That's different. But I've found that so many of the players out there are relatively new, and the experience of dying and being a little bit unclear of exactly how and why it happened can be really off-putting for the game in general. So this is why I think we're going to get into a big video later. Hey, what's up, Mini Terrain? Hey, everybody showing up in the stream. That's great. We're just yammering right now. Well, I shouldn't blame it on you guys. I'm the ones yammering. But anyways, I just think that death and exactly how you execute it in your game is really important, because it can be a great moment where a character, or a player, kind of says like, I like this experience, I want to be part of this, I want to do this more. Or they can be like, this isn't for me, this is kind of trolling, and like the other players seem to know the rules better than I do, and then suddenly I was dead, and it's because I'm new, and like, man, I kind of, okay, screw this club. So I actually think take great care when it comes to the justice involved with death. And most importantly, make sure that you know your game design and how it uses death and makes death clear. There's nothing worse than a character death happening, or maybe it's happening, and then everyone gets their rule books out, and there's this whole thing of like, are you dead or not? That leaves you feeling very like, are we discussing if I'm dead? This is pretty creepy. Anyway, we'll get into a bigger video with that here pretty soon, because I just had in my ICRPG party a character death, and I felt that it was very cut and dry, that the discussion at the table was very good around it, and there was good feelings had all around, and I think it will actually bring the story closer into the characters, which is another thing that's been on my mind lately. Is it's really critical that the characters are part of the story, not that they show up to the story. And there's a really big difference in them. As the dungeon master, you have a lot to do on that front. As a player, I'm trying to learn how to bring some of that detail to my DM through my character, and that can be a delicate balance, because you also just want your DM to have this freedom to portray the whole deal. But as a player, often your suggestions will plant little mind worms in your DM that eventually become big parts of the story. So I'm kind of trying to learn that aspect too. It is a life of learning. What's going on in the thing here? The Dragon Grin. Oh yeah, what's up with that? Head player died every game. Oh boy, that is not the player's fault. That's the game design. You had a PC die out, it was blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I agree kind of with Spotted Sharks, is that it should be extraordinary, but it should also be that they know it might happen. Like on this next move that I'm going to do, I understand how death works, and I could be within one turn of being toast, and I'm okay with that, and I'm going to go for it. Anyway, this is a huge topic, and I think a lot of people, as you guys are revealing, have not only opinions about it, but also have insight about it. And so, as usual, I have like a billion offline conversations going, and I'd like to harvest a lot of that wisdom and insight that you guys are always bombarding me with, try to congeal it into something, and for once, say something mildly interesting about TTRPG. Okay, so what are we actually doing today? We are working on the Alfheim world map. So, Index Card RPG, the core book or core set is a shitload of cards, a bunch of characters, a whole rule set, a whole monster set, the whole deal. It's like what you might call a full-blown RPG. And part of that is there's a lot of world-making tools in ICRPG, as you guys have already kind of intuited and started to do with some of the sets. But also included is the world of Alfheim, so that it's kind of a primer for you in case you don't want to make your own world, or you want to play inside the Runehammer world, which is the world in my novels and the world in basically everything I do. It's kind of just like so many dungeon masters, my world is congealed over years. And yeah, MTD, I am going to AtCon, so if hopefully Matt will maybe let me run a game or something. I don't know. I would love to just be a player too and sleep in the parking lot. I'm fine with that. But yeah, I am going to AtCon in Tacoma, so come on out to Tacoma and go to AtCon this summer. Okay, so the map that I'm working on right here, this is going to be Alfheim. Now you can see probably just barely that I have the coastline, and the coastline here is just a trace off of the Alfheim primer PDF that's on roomhammergames.com. So that's a very, very rough and coarse view of the world with just a few hints to a few of the areas. And what I wanted to do for the next stage here is actually delve insanely deep into this map. So I don't know if you can quite tell from where you sit, but this file is colossal. So let's check this out. We're going to go from we're in orbit right now, and we're going to go way down there and press zoom 18 times, and there's the coastline. That's actual resolution. So you'll be able to print this thing I don't know, maybe 60 inches across when the time comes, and that'll be really cool. So this is Ire over here. So the part that I wanted to do was start to sketch out some of the roughs on kind of where things are. Now, if you haven't read the Runehammer novels yet, or you're in the middle of them or anything like that, there might be a little bit of vague spoiler that's going to happen here, so be careful with that. But I don't think it's going to be anything that's going to, make you cry or anything. Okay, so let's just get started, and I'm just kind of going off of kind of running from memory here, so you're going to bear with me. So we have Kath down here. We have the Kedish Steppes here. And the Kedish Steppes actually are in the third Runehammer book, and that's not out yet, so nobody knows about that yet. Let me see. Then we have there's the canyon here. There's sort of the swamp and stuff. The gray is right here. The Unalaya is here. You kind of here is the Greenway. Down here is the Wall of Duros from the second book. And then you kind of have the Salt Frost up here from the first book. Ship's Helm is up here, so this whole entire northern area is Ship's Helm. And then you have Ire, and Ire kind of just is cut in half, a lot like the UK. So you have, kind of the primals, and then you have Norberg and the lower part of Ire. And then you have Xenos down here, and you have Aphos up here. And for the purpose of today, since this map is so big and so detailed, I'm really just going to go in and do one little area, and it's going to be an area that you're probably familiar with, which is the Greenway. So you also will find out here that so that's the zoom in factor on this insanity. It's crazy. So I'm just going to start getting my roughs, because this is my layer for my roughs. See you later, MTD. What's happening? Oh yeah, okay. So I wanted to. There's Westburg. There's Fort Friendship, and so on and so forth. So I'm just gonna kind of pick a spot, and I think it's kind of right here. And that is going to be Westburg. All right, now you guys probably remember Westburg is the town that is destroyed when Garrett Frack causes the sort of natural disaster that cracks the ground open and everything in the Rangers of Nidia campaign. So Zymer and Helm and Stills all travel from here up to Nidia to employ the help of Grey Elk to hunt down Garrett Frack, who retreats down here into the swamps by Innsmouth and other places. So anyway, as you can see, there's like lots and lots of metadata that I already kind of have in my head. And all this is still just rough. And I'm just sort of trying to start to capture it. And what got me started was when I did the stream with Nate from WasIt20, and we were mapping together. And I was like, man, this is really fun. I would like to really kind of go totally insane with this. Oh, Shane, thanks for grabbing a copy of that. Appreciate it. Okay, so here we are. So I think I might need even more resolution, honestly, but what I wanted to do was make a map that you could zoom in on that would even function as a submap, and I think I may not have enough resolution, which is kind of insane. See, look at that. I'm going to have to cram a whole town into this little shape. And that's just psycho. It's not enough room. So I'm going to go even a little bit bigger here. And I haven't really gotten into the anti-aliasing of it, so yeah, everything's going to be fine. So we'll go from 10,000 to 12,000 pixels. So yeah, that's at really high res, that's like a 40-inch print. So it'll be 4 feet across. Making some training while watching live stream. Blah, 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 blah. Hey, oh, hey, man, Cameron, what's up? I'm just chilling, and I like to do the Saturday morning thing without a ton of structure, and I don't have a huge thesis and everything. This is going to take too long. I'm not interested in that. Okay, we're going to work with what I got. I'm going to work with what I got. I'm going to make it really hot. Now, all my towns are generally divided into 6 pieces. and that's because they correspond to 1d6 roll, which can be used for various purposes. So there's the buildings there, and then here's some noted farming buildings out here, a couple little hut villages, and we start to have our first little piece, and we're going to start building. So you're like, dude, you're going to fill in this entire map at this pace? It's going to take a year. Well, it's going to take a long time, yeah. Oh, nice, Shane. Yeah, really, really happy with the novels. I'm actually got my my Audible account completely figured out right now. So all I need to do is figure out, or not figure out, but complete the recording sessions. And I will be ready to put the novels out on audiobook, which I'm really excited about. So this is Westburg. Here we go. It's got like the sort of the core buildings here in Westburg, and if I remember, it's got sort of this fountain in the middle. And then Inglemore, I imagine, is down here somewhere. So let's just put it in. The Greenway is basically just a huge sort of wooded plain, rolling hills. And Inglemore sits over here. Inglemore is also in this sort of karst, I think it's called, karst topography, which is like limestone. The kind of topography where, early man really began to take hold. Sort of northern Spain has a karst topography, so it's very conducive to large caverns and so forth. This is all stuff from the second book. There we go. There's sort of the watchtowers. And then we're going to kind of go, just do this little section. So we're going to do from Westburg up into Nidia. And I don't really think these are nations per se. But they are areas. They're like regions, I don't really think in nations that much. I think much more in a regional type of mindset. So I'm just going to get a road going. So that's like the road to Nidia. And then we have a road which is going to go down here toward Cath. We're going to have a road that's going to go over toward Inglemore. Then, of course, we need to think about Fort Friendship. The wall, Siege Rock is up here. And it's really weird to take things that you create in a novel and start to draw them out, because it's really nice to not draw them out, to to leave them in the imagination. But I do want to make this world realized so that people can use it in their game. So I can use it in my game, hell. Okay, do ye old dotted line for roads, kind of just how I like to do stuff. I don't really have a style quite like Nate does. He has this really nice, like almost hobbity kind of style. By Nate, I mean WasD20. Sorry. Mr. Vanderzee. I don't really do that style. I have much more of a kind of a mappy game designer kind of style. So here's the road, and then Nidia is a sort of a steppish or a low mountains area, kind of like Rohan. So I'm just going to kind of do that. And here's where I can start to have a little more fun. Like, this isn't a very fun little map piece, right? It's kind of just looks like some kind of top-down plan. But here we can get a little more into like what the rocks actually sort of look and feel like. So I keep forgetting you guys don't have to see my hand. Because I'm like, oh, they can't see because my hand is in the way. Just like, you can't see my hand. Well, you just see Photoshop happening magically. Okay, so I'm going to do these kind of like, again, I'm kind of inspired by Rohan at the moment. So we kind of do these. Remember how it had that great, like the rocks had almost been like windswept? So we'll kind of do that, like where the rocks have all gone through some tectonic upheaval, which has pushed them all in a concordant direction. Like that. And I know this may seem a little like, what? Why? Why are you bothering with that? But I think this is the kind of stuff, especially if you're sort of playing theater in the mind and you depend a lot on description to create your world. Those kind of little details can really add up to player actions. You know, like, well, what are these rocks kind of like? Like, can I climb them? Like, can we see past them? Are they mountains? Like, what are they? So I'm just kind of winging it right now. Cool. Hey, everybody. Saturday night in Russia. What's up, Nidia? Naya. Whatever. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but welcome. I love it when people all over the world are coming together over D&D, man. All these goofballs nowadays who are trying to divide the world into groups and turn us against each other, they're all wrong. We're all totally groovy with one another. The world is a very friendly and awesome place. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Because people love one another. We got to have that one love. All right, so I got my Namidian area here. Now, I definitely do not have enough resolution because I was going to do like full-on adventures and stuff in here. So let's try to do one of the things I want to do, which is like build a dungeon right into my world map. So we're going to put a rock right here. Controversy. Okay, then we're going to put a cave entrance. Right, you draw a little hole like that. There we go. And then through the little hole, we're gonna actually build a dungeon like right here. And lately, I've been doing the top rooms are seen in side view, and then you go. Wait, no, it's the other way. The top rooms are seen in top down. Yeah. So let me undo that. God, where the hell's undo? I don't usually use a lot of undo. Okay, so the initial floor is seen in top-down view like this. And then you have a little staircase exiting this cavern, right? And maybe there's some descent right here too. And you have some descent right here. And you know, the classic way to do descent is that you do slightly decreasing little stair lines, so that you don't have to put arrows which way is down and stuff. Dude, farmer. Don't let anyone tell you what I say that phrase all the time. Greetings, programmer. Yeah, feel free to just entertain yourselves over there in the chat channel. I'm just kind of living my life over here. Okay, so I've got my thing. And then what I've been doing lately is I'll switch from this top view into a side view. So here's a cavern. Stalactites, right? And then there's the way down. Here's the floor. Right, so, and I know that I didn't really say, hey, you guys, I'm switching from side to top, but you can kind of just tell. My brush got a little extreme on me there. Yeah, there we go. Okay. You can kind of just tell, like, this looks like a side view. So I don't need to tell you with a little note that says side, top, you know, because I like to write as little as possible on here and let the imagination kind of fill in whatever may or may not be the details. Ah, this pen is much better. This is more what I was hoping for as far as detail. Okay. So see, now you have this oubliette here, and then under the oubliette is like the grave of kings, and it's this long hallway or long chamber. Like this. The end of the chamber is the tomb. I mean, I don't even know what I'm designing. I don't even know what this would be. It's just I know that someday I'll make something out of this. And here's kind of this broken slope that leads into the chamber. Do my little stairs. You know, and it's like, is that top down, side down, side view? I don't even know what I'm seeing. Doesn't matter. Who cares? Just go with it. The more important thing is to capture a moment when you're sitting here, you're focused, and you're being creative. Capture what your sort of child mind wants to dream up. Let it dream up. There's some kind of weird little markers here at this entrance. And then there's two other markers over here. And later, you know, you could design a cool little game mechanic that use these markers to get yourself to the next room, so on and so forth. Down here in the tomb, you have several smaller tombs and sarcophagi. Everybody kind of has these kind of encounters. You know, everyone wants to explore a tomb, find treasure, or An even better one is like you find a statue of one of the party members, and it's like, how is this possible? Are we time travelers? Like, are we in a prophecy of legend? Like, who are we? The story is always about the characters, not about a world that they stumbled into. Okay, so that's most of that little dungeon. So later I can label that, and I'll call it something, the Tomb of whatever. But it just crowds right into on my world map. Also, in retrospect, I'm going to 3Dify this little town a little bit because I'm not happy with it. Remember how I said, like, this is like a boring little floor plan? I don't want boring floor plans. I want cool little things. Now, Westburg, at least in the Rangers of Nidia storyline, is destroyed. So I'm going to go ahead and do it destroyed. So here's what used to be the front gate in ruin. See, it's way more cool to draw like a little side viewy 3D looking thing than just a floor plan looking thing. I don't know, I just get so not satisfied with that. And that's okay. That's what erasing is made for. Okay, so here's the shattered walls of Westburg. One of the old towers is still standing just barely. This one's kind of wrecked. And there's some timbers and some rafters sticking out. There's so many ruined towns in my world. I think there's actually more ruined towns than there are intact towns. Because what? Alright. See, now that gives me a lot more to work with as a dungeon master right there. That little location. That is what's left of Westburg. Now, in the story, yeah, he needs a little friend right about there. Yeah, there's a happy little road and a happy little tree. In the story, which is the very first of my campaign encounters, is what I used to call those videos. The one where Stills and Zymer and Helm all meet and they go into the Cavern of the Lizardmen. It sounds so silly in retrospect, but it's because the ground like cracks open and there's a sort of a big crazy flood. So a flood to me implies that there's a river. So this is actually a town on a river. So I think the river is going to go like right here and down, and that means there's going to be a bridge right here. Again, though, there, I did the stupid floor plan garbage, so I'm going to delete that. No floor plan garbage. Not fun enough. There we go. Okay. I'm going to do one of these little guys. Boop. There we go. Boop. Fun little bridge like that. Boop, 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 boop. Little boards. Little lantern posts at the corners. Right? There you go. That's much more fun. And then the road has to fit it. Like here, and here. And then the river goes underneath. And down there. To be figured out later, exactly where that goes. That might even be one of the rivers that flows from the L. Which the L River is a very small creek, actually, that's in the very beginning of Shield of Hanar. Okay, there we go. So now we kind of have the ruins are kind of around this river, and then I think the river follows the road and then goes away from the road. And here are the headwaters up here. Okay? So we'll worry about how this river gets down to the coast, or maybe, we could sketch it in. Goes like that and reaches the coast. Okay? So we'll kind of worry about exactly what it does and how later. So there's how much of the world we're designing. Oh wait, I'm not even in all the way. There we go. Are you rebuilding after a Cthulhu attack and that's why there's so many ruins? Cameron Whitlock. No, I think I just have a penchant for certain sort of tropes and standards in my storytelling. And I like to destroy towns with natural disasters. It's just that's my jam. I think it's just the, orcs burn my village tradition. But with me, it's like a flood destroyed my village. I I have no idea why. Maybe it's some kind of weird psychological issue that I have. Okay, so there we go. We've got Westburg. And I think I'll just make a little note. There we go. And I have all kinds of little story stubs that find their roots back to Westburg. It's the corniest name for a town ever, but I don't know, it just happens. You know how this is. You have little standards in your game, and they just keep coming up. What Photoshop program do you use? That's an odd question. Photoshop. Okay, so we have this dungeon up here. We have the road from Westburg up to Nidia. Now, also in Nidia, we had these sort of forts. These are fort-dwelling men up here. So get back to my more detailed brush. Here we go. And let's just do a few forts, and we'll name them later. But a fort has a sort of a spiked wall structure, right? So you just do these little guys. These little, yep. And, you know, I used to be much more concerned about, like, talking fast and you know, trying to be hilarious and everything in these videos. And, like, the more that I've been getting into watching my own channels that I enjoy watching, I realize, like, it's actually quite nice to just have a calming kind of backgroundy tone to things. So if it seems like I'm chilling out too much, you're just gonna have to deal with it. All right, so I'm just gonna fill these in. Screw it. There we go. Little dark forts, and then every once in a while you have a fort with a little tower in it, right? And the tower has a little roof like here. And there's your little fort. So that's one fort. And then there's another fort on this frontier. And you know, you're probably noticing, like, the scale between the forts and the dungeon and the city is not consistent in any way. And as long as you guys are fine with that, I'm fine with that. I see the purpose of the map being story seeds, general navigation, not I know how to make maps, because I totally don't. There we go. I need to turn up my brush a little bit so I don't have to press all the time. I'm going to break my hand in half. There we go. Okay, now this one has a nice little flag, like that's their claim to fame. The high banners of Fort Martins, and I don't know. And then there's a small fort here. Not all the forts should be the same size. So you see how you're getting starting to get a sense of what Nidia is. It's this kind of land of forts and these kind of angled rocks, and you start to get a sense for how you might use or describe this space to players if and when the time comes that you adventure here. Okay, and then I'm going to connect these with some roads. And I think also, like, when you're making a map, it's easy to just make a map for a map's sake. But I'm always wanting to make a map that is inducing or suggesting events and adventures. So that's kind of what's on my mind at this point as I'm looking at my work. I'm kind of like, what could, like, suggest something? Let me see. Well, why are they in forts? They clearly are fortifying against something. So what force is terrorizing Nidia such that these guys live like a fortified lifestyle? Now that's kind of interesting. So maybe they have a frontier against a darker realm. So again, we're going way out here. I know that the canyon is along here. I know that the swamps are down here. So let's kind of head that way. We'll head southwest and start developing their frontier. So I'm going to do a little frontier here. It's just beyond this dungeon. So it'll be like a little fort watchtower and then a wall. And we'll do a series of them. So here's my wall. And then here's the next tower. And then here's my wall. So the way that this is going to, quote unquote, induce adventure is there's going to be part of the wall that falls either into disrepair or is destroyed. And for reasons, you know, whatever fits your campaign or your current storyline, the players are induced either by pay or by duty or by revenge, whatever, to go and tend to this damaged or neglected wall. And that's when they discover the far greater threat that is at work, which we will get into here in just a second. Because, you know, no one likes swamps, right? They're always to blame for all kinds of bad things. Anywhere you get like standing water, bugs, and mud, like bad things are going to happen. There's a t-shirt for you. Swamps are bad. Okay, cool. So here's the wall that they've constructed at the southwest sort of border of Nidia and the Greenway. Beyond this border is this whole swamp area. Now, I know that this is a swamp area because down here is Innsmouth, which is my sort of, you know, Lovecraft town. Yeah, lizard folk. Okay, fine. We'll get into some lizard men here. And then I have Cath down here, which is jungle here and then desert. So the transition between jungle and Nidia, which is mountainous, is the swamp, which I like. It's kind of like the jungle is draining out into this swamp, and then up here, and I don't even think it's a jungle like, yeah, no, actually it is jungly, kind of, you know, almost like a Mexico jungle. We're kind of down to that, what's it called, latitude? What do we got in Running World if the Trask comes every 100 years or so? Oh, man. Good old Trask. All you need is 100 level 1 bards and you can take him out. No problem. Because they all give each other +1 and you can overcome that resistance of his. Okay. We have the wall, and then down here we have the swamp. So the lizard swamp. So these guys, you know, lizard men, they have like thatch kind of hut stuff, right? So first of all, we'll do a little bit of swamp, right? And swamp is always just this little stuff. And you know what? There's also, I see it now, there's a gate right here. It's right here. There it is. Oh yeah. It's a happy little gate right here. Okay, and that gate is going to have a name eventually, and that will be, you know, relevant in the story, exactly what happens in that gate. And we're also going to put a road right through there. But back to the swamp. And you know, one of the reasons I also wanted to do this particular region is this region isn't really in the novels or anything. So I've got a lot of freedom right now. I don't really have to make sure it lines up to anything. Whereas like right over here where Shield of Hanar happens, there's a lot of specificity about how the Black Mountains, the Greenway, the Wall, Siege Rock, Inglemore, and how all that terrain, Ramthus is up here, how those all fit together. This is great though, so you can start to feel how much content we'll have on this map when you look at that. So if you look at it from this view, I feel like we've already kind of maybe designed 4 to 5 adventures, maybe a little bit more than that, and an adventure being a couple nights of gameplay. So to me, this much map is, I don't know, maybe even 10 nights of gameplay. So then extrapolate that, and we have a lot, you know. Usually like to play one map for maybe 2 years or so. I don't know. We could pontificate on that indefinitely, ad nauseum, as they say. Indelecto ad flagrante. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to mix up the swamp a little bit with some little hillocks and some cattails. You know, this is all normal stuff. Every world map has it. Just like the Dead Marsh in Lord of the Rings. Okay, so we got a couple cattails here. And then we're going to have little hillocks. You know, these little guys. And one of them will have a hole in it. And that will be the... Actually, let's do a sinkhole entrance to a dungeon for the swamp dungeon. So, see, it's kind of like... I'm just going to basically improvise these silly little rules, which is like, you know, kind of each region will probably have a little dungeon, you know? At least if I do a good job. And then it will hopefully induce players and Dungeon Master to, ooh, I wonder what's in there, you know? Let's go in there. Let's go do that portion. Okay, so I'm going to do the little lizard man huts. And they're also sort of silhouetted like the forts, but they're, I think they're like concave and then like this. Is this how? How do you draw a lizard man hut? I think it's a combination of little thatchy things. No, wait, that's not it. I know what I want to do. Those little stilt houses. So you do a little house like that, a little patio, right? And then it's on sticks like this, like a little bayou house. There we go, like on the Thai coastline. All right, there we go. So they're gonna have these little things. Okay, and it's got little sticks kind of coming off of it like that. There we go. There's a lizard man stick house. So there's a few of these. She's a stick house. I'm sorry. I don't know why the good Lord made me this way, but he did. Okay. There we go. There we go. Some more little stick house over here. Maybe this is the lizard royalty stick house over here. She's a stick house. She's mate. Lizard it all hang out. Okay, here we go. There, cool. So these are kind of like little stick homes. And again, it doesn't really matter exactly what each one of these are. I think it's just a suggestion that can lead you to saving time on descriptions and drawing blanks. You know, there's nothing worse than trying to go into a new adventure or a new experience, whatever, a new section, and you're drawing a little bit of a blank on what's gonna make it different. And that's where sometimes a world map can really help you. Like the Keramikos map from AD&D, man, I just drew so much from that. Night of Sick Beats. I'm totally stealing that. Lizards on the Bayou. Yeah, sorry I haven't seen the entire chat stream there, guys. I'm sure you're keeping your keyboards warm. Lizard it all hang out. It's a stick house. Back when the law was Murloc rockin' beats. Right. Okay, now I'm gonna have to get into a little bit of water. And we will get this done. Like there's kind of a lake, kind of like how the Aztecs are around, what is it? Lake Titicaca, Lake Teotihuacan, Teotihuacan, that's it, Teotihuacan. Not the easiest lake name to remember, but okay, here we go. Let's do some more of these little guys. Don't look at the lights or you'll go down and light little candles of your own. Alright, Smeagol, whatever. You're the one that led us to the damn swamp. Okay. Soft and quick as shadows we must be. Okay. So it's getting a little ragged in here, which I like because it kind of makes it feel evil. Now, as the swamp moves toward the mountains, I think you've got these kind of sharp rocks, which are in the opposite sort of declination from the Numidian rocks. And these will, again, drive home this feeling of like the evil frontier. There we go. And later I might go in and improve how everything is drawn. I'm not really concerned with it right now, because I just want to enjoy. I just want to enjoy my weekend. And this is how I do it. I could be doing anything right now. I'm sitting here doing this. All right. Cool. So there's some sharp rocks up here north of the swamp. And then we've got, I think there's like maybe 2 lakes. So we'll do a lake here. And we'll do a lake down here. All right, and then kind of detail this lake in a little bit. And by detail, I mean totally not. It's just kind of putting lines on it. You know how my drawing philosophy is just kind of draw a thing and then draw it again and then let your hand wiggle a little bit and it looks like you know what you're doing. And that guy totally knows what he's doing. Fooled you. Alright. Then they have some rivers flowing right through the center of their little villages. Okay, then we're going to do the sinkhole. Need a little more loving on these stick huts here. Okay, cool. All right. I think lizard men come from all kinds of different environments. Okay, so yeah, I think the sinkhole, like you guys are intuiting, is where we kind of transition from lizard folk, which, are not necessarily super evil, into more of Kuo-toa and Deep Ones and Sahagwin, right? The much nastier incarnations of fish folk. Like the classic AD&D module, City Beneath the World or whatever. Oh man, I loved that module. Just great. It was all Kuo-toa and Deep Ones, and oh man, just awesome. Way back in the day. So we're just chilling, just kind of doing this stuff. If you're bored, move on. Because this is about as exciting as it gets. I really wish I could listen to tunes, but, it creates all these dumb rights violations on the video. And you have to take your video down. Normally I'd be rocking out right now, maybe pumping some Justin Bieber up in here. Don't you give up, no, 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 and I won't give up, no, 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 let me draw you. All right. Yeah, that just happened. You gotta love that Biebs. All right, cool. So the sinkhole is sort of the center of their culture. So I think it's right around here. Yeah, so there we go. So you can see how this is starting to get a little bit of love. All right, now here's our sinkhole, and it's sort of seen from the side because that's how it's going to be around here. There's my hole. Quit looking at my sinkhole. All right. Okay, and then just like the other one, we're just going to kind of go right into side view. No, Justin. It burns us. Oh, man. Good times. Okay, so here's the descent, as it will be called from henceforth. And then I don't have a ton of room here, so I'm just going to kind of... There's a chamber over here. And there's like a sort of a divider with some rugged, broken stuff. Chamber here, way down. And remember, all you're trying to do is suggest adventure. You're not like making a dungeon map right here. And then I think this final chamber is going to be like a crystal crystal cavern. And, you know, what are these little sidelines here? I have no idea. They just make it look like I know how to draw. So it's just kind of like fraying it. Let me draw you. Sinkhole. Can you hear me? I'm in my pajamas dreaming of a game world for D&D. There's such a difference between lizard folk and Kuotoa, but they both have fishing nets. Okay, so then we got, again, there's something really nice about teeny little stairs going down. I don't know why, it just always tickles me. Like, oh, look at those little stairs. It's a dungeon. Some kind of weird little idol down here where deep ones are worshiping some kind of weird Dagon type god. Just you guys can all completely imagine the adventures that would happen down here. Very standard stuff. Then here you have this weird, everything's weird, right? This weird like ceiling monolith. Some artifact of a long gone world. Actually, it looks like a Jumbotron at a hockey game, so that's not very cool. There we go. We'll leave it a little more blank like that. And then it just kind of induces you to say, whoa, what is that? And that's where the magic of adventuring will begin to form in your mind. Okay, then finally we have the crystal chamber down here. Slad. Oh man, t-shirts. Wow. Amazon with their t-shirts. They tried to tell me that I was infringing on the brand of the show Shameless. Which I've never watched that show. I guess it has like drunks on it. Somehow Drunken's and Dragons as a trademark was infringing on Shameless. And I'm just like, seriously? I think this IP dispute is being generated by a bot. Like no one in their right mind would think that. Okay, so now we're going to put crystals in here. Everyone knows how to draw crystals. You draw little sword shapes like this. Yeah, everyone knows how to do this, and now I'm going to tell you how to do it. God. Why do you guys watch this crap? Okay, here we go. And there's some shadowy ones that are kind of in the back here. It's like, whoa, what's going on in this crystal chamber? Well, I don't know. That's for you to answer. So you draw kind of like little sharp shapes. Then go back to your bigger sword shapes. And I'm going to go to double resolution here because that's just how I roll. And then you just make a diamond out of the end of the sword and then draw a line down from the bottom of the diamond. And bang, you got a crystal. Sometimes you do two like that. Put a little facet on there and kind of put a broken line. And hey, crystals. I know what I'm doing. I'm someone. As Jesse Jackson said, I may be unskilled, but I am somebody. All right. Put little sharp points on all these guys. Let me love you. Don't you give up. And there we go. Okay. Fray these edges a little bit. So the fun part is like, man, somehow the spelunking involved with this divide here in the middle is kind of interesting to me. And then I think there's some sort of vines, some little danglers like so. There we go. Cool, man! There's our lizard cave. Fucking Underdark. Yeah, no doubt, huh? TM on that phrase for Florian Evermoon. I'm going to put little doors in these stick houses. There we go. There we go. And there we go. They got little, those little round hatch doors. That's how lizard men roll. All right, now I'm getting some momentum here. Now we're starting to create what might feel like a world. I'm just taking a slightly bigger pen right now and just kind of going over where I had to use more than one line. I'm very particular about how my lines, they look like accidents. And so I always have to go back and make sure that everything looks like it was drawn exactly once. This is why I'm so picky about my pens. Is I hate to have to go over a line with a pen, because it'll reveal that you didn't just do it on the first try. Hey, Bradley Morris, hello from South Africa. Woo! Man, I love that D-ant word. That's the only thing I know about South Africa, and I love it. Do they really call stoplights robots in South Africa? Because that's awesome. All right. Sorry to, generalize and stereotype your town based on one weird musician, but hey, that's it just happened. Let's just go with it. One love and all that good stuff. I'm going to add one more section to the Namidian wall. My worlds really seem to have a lot of walls in them. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, so now we need a road, and the road's going to end at the lizard gate, the gate of scales or something like that. Okay, it's going to go from the ruins of Westburg here over to the scaled gate, like that. There we go. So this road is like, yeah, okay. Actually, I like it with just one stroke, and then boop. You guys notice how I do a road? I just do a line, and then I get my eraser and just do this. For some reason, it always makes me feel like I want to go on an adventure when I see a squiggly dotted line. I'm going on an adventure! Okay. Hey, we're starting to see some world come together here. This is pretty cool, huh? So right now I start to, my artistic instincts start twitching, and I start feeling a balance of darkness. And I need to rectify it. So that means usually I want a nice compositional distribution of ink so that everything kind of feels consistent. And I'm starting to feel areas that don't have enough ink on them. So I'm just going to kind of update those real quick. I have been called the Bob Ross of D&D. I find that very, very flattering because Bob Ross is dope. That's a dude who held it down for the human race. Did a very simple thing, did it very well, and did it for a long time and very consistently. Brought a lot of happiness to people in a simple way that didn't ask much of the world, and I like that. So you can see I'm just kind of adding a little bit of ink weight to things because I want that weight to be comparable across the map. Like, why does there need to be a line right there? There doesn't, but I need a little bit of weight there. And then I feel like Westburg doesn't have enough weight, so I just want to kind of go in and fill in some of this stuff. So I don't know if I'm trying to give some kind of drawing tutorial here, but I'm just I'm walking you through my mind process. Also, my other towns and buildings are drawn in silhouette, and this one kind of isn't, so I just need one little piece of silhouette there, and I'll feel satisfied. There you go. A couple more little pieces of ruin. And there my darkness balance is starting to be more satisfying for me. All right, here we go. Cool. So as you're approaching to this sort of lizard town with this, like, the Palace of Sticks or something it could be called in here, you definitely want like heads on spears and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like, this is where they warn human intruders with heads on spears, and maybe one of these tribes in here is not hateful against humans. Actually, we'll put them right down here. They're the good lizard folk, and therein lies the sort of the hint of your story. Not just the drow get to have rebellions. Lizard people can have rebellions too. Here we go. So they have their own little stick house. Lizard it all hang out. Maybe they have ancestral feud over fishing grounds, and it has escalated recently. I don't know. There we go. And then put the door in. Boop. Hey. There it is. Okay. Come on, eraser tool. I don't have time for latency. Alright. I wish you did these streams later in the day so that I could get drunk. Well, there's nothing stopping you. Okay, cool. So you can start to see what's unfolding here. So I think you extend this method and this level of detail to this entire thing. You can see this could be pretty cool, man. I've got a spot for something right here, and I want to do something with it. I'm going to put a little henge out here. There it is. That's it. So it's just a henge, and then like a DM or a player or someone can intuit what might be in that little henge, and bang, you've got a side quest or an adventure. I don't really believe in the term side quest. I don't really do side quests so much as just the adventure itself. Like side quest implies like this is kind of lame. I don't want things to be lame. I want to be cool, man. We've got our entire lives out in reality to put up with limitations. Why have them in here? All right, here we go. Just putting some bases on these little towers. Okay. Great. Great. Oh, I do not play in D&D, but I like your watch. But I want to build up D&D. Hey, France. Simon Talbot. Now, that's a fine, upstanding name. Hello, friends. Simon Talbot here. Coming at you from France. Had a really good time in France. Went to a great place called Les Ancêtres de Galles. It was fantastic. It was old medieval cuisine and all you can eat, kind of just pay to get in style. And they had wine and meat in barrels and big piles of cheese. And oh man, it was fun. It's right by Notre Dame. Great place. Okay, so anyways, there's Westburg. She ruined. What are these little farm paddocks out here? We don't need those. Okay. Great, so that's where the Rangers of Nidia happens, so I probably need a little note. Up here says Nidia. And it's kind of like this area. Now, Nidia is also a word, I think spelled different, but that appears in Conan stories. But it's New Midia in their world. The wife frowns on day drunk. Well, hey, just because you have a drink doesn't mean you have to get wasted. I mean, it's actually sounding better and better the more you talk about it. Okay, so now what? We've got the headwaters of a river up here. That means mountainous. Let's get zoomed back out. Kind of going to shift gears just because I'm like that. Coab is down here, and this is where this area. I don't know. I think you guys can see my mouse, right? But about this much space right here is where my current ICRPG campaign is taking place. Then we have Port Sand is right here. Let's do that. I'm just going to do this little port here. So there's a little dock. Again, not to scale. A couple little docks. starting to bring this coastline into focus. Because this guideline I have here is just a guideline. Oh, cool. Well, hey, welcome, man. Good to have you. Cameron Whitlock, smart decision, man. Smart decision. Okay. So there's a little bit of the port sand and so forth. There's a road, and then Coab, I think, if I remember correctly, is right out here. Now, Coab is the sort of the remnants of my almost sort of Egyptian, proto-Egyptian culture. Like, if you guys have read that great Lovecraft story where he finds the crocodile people encased in glass coffins, that's how I've always imagined my sort of desert culture. So I'm going to just kind of get into it a little bit because I know what I want out here, which is a pyramid culture that's lost in the desert. So I'm just going to start with one bold pyramid, and I'm going to start working from there. Okay, so there's this one, and then there's dunes around it. It's a dune-swept pyramid kind of place. Okay. And for the first few, you can kind of be pretty bold and take up plenty of space, and then we'll get a little more small and a little more detail. But this way, from space, quote unquote, you get this sense of the desert, the dunes, the pyramids of Coab. So kind of like this, yeah. Nimlouth Lightshade. Nemed. Are you drawing with a mouse? No, I'm using a Cintiq, so I'm drawing with pen. Drawing with mouse is a challenging proposition, even for the finest digital artist. I mean, maybe if you're like drawing memes or something, you could get away with it, but good grief, very difficult. Okay, so for my primary pyramid, it's like a capped pyramid, right? So they have these, and it's just a suggestion. Like I don't really know what this means or what these details actually are. That would be saved for later development, but it's capped. Maybe there's like a gold cap on this pyramid, and then it has this entrance which is visible from space, and then more tiny stairs, because tiny stairs always excite the imagination. If you guys have volume 2 of ICRPG, you get the that pyramid card in there, so it's like that's kind of part of where this is heading. I don't want transfer on my eraser. Okay. There we go. And I don't like the capped pyramid either. That was really in my imagination, but now that I see it, it's distracting. It's killing my buzz. Why would I want to do that? There we go. Greetings from New Zealand. Oh, man. Che Cormac. Preparing my crafts for Moloch. That's cool. I'm going to rip that mention of mine from the video. Yeah, Bradley Morris, the real substance, the main course of ICRPG is what's coming out next. That is the core set. And that is the full rule set, game world, characters, the whole deal. A big set of print and play stuff. It's going to be really awesome. It's what I'm playing with right now with my group. Really going to be. I'm really excited to get the game in everybody's hands. I think it's a really good spot between Dungeon World and 5e in a way. Just riffing off of everything that I've been exposed to in the last few years. And then we're just playtesting it right now, so got to iron out the kinks and battle test it. Okay, so here is Coab, and I think there's like these little kind of runes and markings up these pyramids, and they kind of have little stacked stones you can see in spots. I'll be right back. I think I have a dog bathroom situation. Come on, buddy. It's starting to snow here. Why is it snowing? Why is it snowing? Oh, that's great, Christopher. That's good news, man. So did you use it along with 3D terrain, or on a dry erase mat, or just on its own, or how'd you get it done? As for when, I'm shooting for April for the ICRPG Core, but we shall sell no wine before it's time. I want these dunes to move just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so that's cool. We have Coab, the Pyramid Kingdom. Wow, look how tiny that is in that ocean of, of desert. That is insane. So I just want to do that sort of desert world. So you do, a curved line and then a line that curves the other way, I think is how you draw dunes. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing, so you guys have probably noticed that by now. Okay, then they have an area down here with like the colonnades, sort of, or obelisks. And then one of them has toppled. And again, like, would you see this from a map level view? Like, not really, but it kind of just breaks the scale and hopefully gives you the ideas you need. I don't know, that will ultimately be up to you guys. There we go. And maybe we'll have a road go through here or something. There's some smaller thing. And then maybe we have like a hall of 1,000 columns sort of a deal. Kind of like at, what is it, Thebes? Is that where they have that? Must have been crazy when they first discovered that stuff. I'm just like, what? Alien civilization? It's strange how everything really cool in the human ancient history is instantly ascribed to aliens. Like, are we not cool enough to make incredibly cool stuff? Like, come on. Human race is badass, yo. When we cooperate, we are unstoppable. Okay, these are the sort of the leeward sides of the dunes, so they have that kind of lip on them. Like that. There we go. So see, the wind is blowing in from the ocean, kind of like the Skeleton Coast in Africa. Monolithic ancient statues. Oh yeah, you mean like a Sphinx type thing, or something like that, a Ramses kind of thing? Yeah, we could do that. So let's do some rocks, where the dunes give way to rocks. And these are sort of vertical, edifices or crags. And then among these, kind of almost like Petra or Jordan. Among these vertical crags, we will put our giant statue, our Colossus. In the third book, the third Runehammer novel, you guys will, if you read it, I hope you do, will discover about the Colossa. They're awesome. Got a lot of the inspiration there from Nausicaa or Warriors of the Wind. I always really loved the giant guys in that movie. Hankering is an alien. No way, man. I am 100% Earth. With pictures for most of the items, and then I have cardboard, grid cardboard. Cool. Origami trees. The Jundland wastes. Okay, so I need a little more room on this set of crags to get a colossal sort of form in here. So I'm going to add one big crag. There we go. And then we have our guy, our seated figure here. There we go. And then we'll kind of put this like headdress on him. And the top of the head kind of is open like that. It is very Bob Ross-like the way that. I think it's just if you're honestly narrating the experience of drawing and creating, you don't know what you're doing. You're running with it. It's like Bob Ross said, this is your world. Let's make some decisions. I love that mindset. Okay, so there he's got that kind of open-ended head. And then here's the back leg, and he's this sort of strange seated figure. And there is a series of little tiny columns leading up to him. There we go. There we go. So that's where the pilgrims come to pay homage to the Colossus. Here, let's just fill him in, and then we'll use the eraser to kind of draw some of his detail. His hands are kind of resting on these huge masses of rock. And then just a little bit of detail on his chest here. There we go. And I think as much as I like the open head, I think it confuses you, so I'm just going to close the head off like that. There. Oh, and I want a small head to convey this feeling. There we go. And then I just gotta have these little crown pieces. There we go. Dun, dun, do, do, do. The great Colossus of the Western Crags. He's not really a great Colossus, he's just a Colossus. But he always tells us to call him great. Colossi can't talk, they're just sitting there. Okay, so now we'll do a little bit more sort of integrating him into the rock. There we go. Now, this has got to be an entrance. There we go, cool. He's on a little seat there, he looks kind of comfy. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, I like my own crap. Jeez. Nerd alert. Okay. I'm just, if you're wondering, sharpening off these pyramids. Okay. Alright, letting in the dogs. Ancestor the God. Oh. Come on, folks. Come on. Inside. Good boys. Good. Good boys. You want a snack? There you go. Good puppies. Good puppies. Them some good puppies you got there. I like your puppies. Hey man, I like your puppies. I like how they eat food, poop in the yard. Alright, finishing up Coab. I do think there's some roads here, and I think they've got cool like Nazca line type roads. So let's do that. Much like the Nazca lines, the civilization of Coab was known for a complex road system. Here we go. Again, I don't know why I have this weird false perspective going on here, but I totally do, and I'm just gonna own that doo-doo. All right. And then here's where the road kind of decays and goes off. Okay, cool. So this is my road system. Now I just want to do my thing where I kind of chop it up. And since these are also like Nazca lines, they're not all dotted. Right, kind of comme ça. If you notice too, like a way to get a little more built-in perspective into your roads is to do your dash line erasing either parallel or perpendicular to the implied perspective of the road line. Oh, my coffee. Oh, book number 3 is not really announced yet, Thomas. It is the third Runehammer book. The title is Of Wolves and Wonders, and it's sort of a conclusion to the... It's not really a continuous storyline from the other 2 books. For those of you who have read both books, they're related but not continuous. And then the third book actually kind of puts a bit of a capstone on that set of events, or on that world that was introduced in Mud and Horn. But I wouldn't call it an ending even. It's just sort of a... Well, I'll save that for when the time comes. What kind of mug is this? What do you mean? This is just some batik. Yeah, this is nothing. It's not my cool mug. My Viking mug is somewhere else, filled with Jaeger, probably. All right, so back up here at Port Sand, we have the sand coast. So this whole zone down... Ooh, Coab is kind of cool. Look at that. Okay, so to finish off Coab, again, I have this strange itch where I need small pieces of black color, of not black, but of ink. I need weight. I'm using brown ink in this particular case, but I need weight. So I'm going to add some little buildings. It's kind of like Egyptian... not thatch, but Egyptian sort of mud architecture. Can't remember what those mud bricks are called that are made with hay in them, or straw. Is there a difference between straw and hay? Hey, straw. Okay. But you know, the Egyptians have that nice blocky architecture. I've always really liked it. Very simple, very stackable. Okay. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. I hope that just sitting through me working is enriching your Saturday. Not really doing anything entertaining here. I'm trying to just get my work done. Cool. See, so that kind of gives this feel of like there's a little more going on. And then I just need it. I need little bits and little dots. I don't know what this is. I need little dots. This thing too, I don't know what this little circle is, but somehow that's going to be a part of a story someday. The ley line of hay is dried grass, straw is the stalks of cereal crops. Hey! Wow, that is deep, deep knowledge. Captain Hank, he's our hero. Going to take Tarrasques down to 0. Only if I have 100 level 1 bards. Yes, Matt Jackson, this is my Dragon Grin t-shirt because hell yeah. Gotta love that Dragon Grin. Okay, so on my notes layer, which I will redo later with more quality, I just write Coab here. And there is at least the central portion of Coab. So again, coming out here, you can feel that. So here I feel it again. I've got a little more ink density. Oh, you can't see my hand. This hand. You've got a little more ink density back in Nidia. So I'm just going to improve or increase my ink density just a little bit. So what does that even mean? Well, just go in and things you've already drawn, just draw them again with a bit of deviation, and you get a heavier line. See how that works? And this will just get me more ink and just get the weight to match. And this is something that I think a really good world map has in spades, is that weight of ink is very consistent and very satisfying across the whole map. It doesn't have a light zone and a dark zone and like it's all weird and looks like 3 different people drew it. Like these shouldn't be hollow. These should just be silhouettes. Looky there. Looky there. Look at them puppies. Look at them doggos. All right. There we go. See, that gets that ink density up where it should be. More proper. Oh, yeah. It's dirty, Hank. It's dirty. And by dirty, I mean clean. What? All right. Cool. So that at least is a start of this feeling of this grand causeway. There's a primary pyramid. You've got the rocks with the Colossus. You've got some other pyramids. You get the lions, the monolith. There's a lot of material in here that can lead to different adventures. Now, I haven't done... I think the last thing we'll do, and then we're coming into 10:30 here, is we'll do one of these sort of dungeon cutaways, which will be the contents of the Great Pyramid. So we're going to go whoop-a-doo, get these dunes out of the way, put them up here, and here's the space for our dungeon. Later, Hank. Joseph Sterling, peace. Okay. So what is a font of ideas when it comes to like a dungeon pyramid theme? You know, what's the font there? What's the fabric that could stitch that together? Usually it's the grave, the way overdone grave of a former ruler, and it's got all kinds of traps and stuff to keep you from stealing his awesome stuff that he took to the afterworld, right? That's the kind of the going theme on pyramid building cultures. So let's just run with it. So we'll do like sort of an entrance, which I think is implied. The entrance is implied to be in the pyramid. So we're just going to start with a little tunnel, and we'll do like a foyer or entry chamber with a big triangular door. And I might need a little smaller pen to execute this kind of tiny stuff. Not that small, criminy. All right. All right, so here's this sort of triangular portal into the afterworld. And you know, one cool thing about like pyramid cultures that we all know and love is there's like alien influence and time travel involved, right? I mean, there has to be. So that's kind of how I would bring this into the station, so to speak. Here we go. There's my triangular door. And then this goes down. And of course, here we go again. Little diminishing stairs. There's just something about it that to me reminds you, like, we're talking dungeon here, buddy. Yeah, totally. You mean a D8, so it's actually a giant diamond? That's kind of a fun concept. So the concept that these are pyramids is actually misguided. They're indeed, in fact, giant, what is that, icosahedrons? So the dungeon actually goes below a pyramid, which is right here. And then down below you have the rest of it, which is like hovering in this massive chamber. Like this. Right? So you can see like there's a cutaway, and here's this chamber. It's got a little side chamber here. These horizontal lines are always tough. You just got to go for it. Pow! There you go. All right. So the icosahedron penetrates the sand. Octahedron? Is that really what it's called? Oh, cool. What's an icosahedron then? Shh. Almost done, Coop. Coop's my dog, in case you guys are wondering. He's getting a little impatient. He's like dropped his ball right there and he's just staring at it. Pillars at the top of the stairs. Yep. So here we got our pillars. God, my dog smells like mud. And not like good mud, like I want to play in the mud, like bad mud. All right. Oh, icosahedron's a D20. Thank you, sir. So there's the little sort of landing point or like transmission point where this weird time-traveling alien culture would port in their soldiers for the war that they're preparing for. This is thousands of years ago. And then here's the antechamber back here. It has a sort of a raised area, little pyramids, and a weird like Cthulhu figure. Right, there you go. Hope you guys are having fun. I love doing this kind of stuff. You can just, I really like it because you can feel the future adventures sort of oozing through this kind of work. So you just don't have to fill it all in because someday you will come back and fill this all in. Okay, now we have our cool little runic language on the pyramid here because this is one of their transmission pyramids. And then here the dunes up above that are burying the pyramid, or so it seems, but it's actually an octahedron that's sort of impossibly hovering in this under realm. So those are just a little bit of line work there to imply this feeling that I want of like there's this triangular corridor leading into this realm. This realm we are conjuring. Another bit of a nerd alert there. Yeah! If you're setting off nerd alerts, that just means you're cool. Alright. There we go. Cool, so there's your desert dungeon, your Coab dungeon. And so, do I sacrifice a little bit of map space to fit that in? Definitely. But you get so much out of it. Yeah, exactly. It's an ancient tectonic weapon. And then now I'm just working on, sort of ink balance, darkness balance. So I have to fill in Cthulhu here. Put that little... what is that? I don't know. It doesn't matter. We'll figure that out later. It's a suggestive imagination tool. Maybe there's other little octahedrons floating, kind of like Land of the Lost style. And they have like a reflective, like diamond-like mirror surface. And shit's crazy up in this piece. All right. Cool. That's a neat little realm. That definitely invites exploration. And you can put locked doors, and you can have traps and all kinds of other detail, but we're not going to show all that detail right here. We're just trying to get the suggestions done. Ancient alien theorists believe that the pyramids were built to be giant D4 turn timers. Oh, wait, I see a spot where ink balance is not correct. This line should be stronger. There we go. Okay. Cool, man. Ink balance feels pretty good. Density of adventure suggestions feels pretty good. I like the kind of the roads that are more of a perspective-y kind of look. Those are really cool. I think I'm good to go. So there you can see like where this map is going to wind up as far as density and style, and probably do a little bit of shading as well, just so it doesn't become like a massive line drawing. Just a little bit of undershading can make it pop a little bit, so you can see the cavities versus the raised areas with more clarity and so on and so forth. Zendikar, yeah. Yeah, cool. So I mean, this is as far as I had hoped to get. This is fun stuff here. So I can kind of get rid of the roughs layer, and there's a little more of what you'll see. And eventually I'll want to do these borders with some kind of cool theme. And it's another thing that Vanderzee on WasD20 always does really cool, is sort of bordering and regions, and he's really good at the map stuff. He gets that very proper look to his maps. Very like, yes, that is properly done. Whereas mine are just a little more like, woo! Just doing whatever. Party, party, party. Yeah, cool. Party, party, party. Okay, so this thing, I don't even like this thing anymore. This is Inglemore. I'm going to bag Inglemore. I'm going to draw it again later. And I think that is about it for me. I think, is everything still working? Is everything functioning? My coffee cup is empty. That is a sad, sad situation. So this is how this map is going to come together. I probably won't show the entire thing being created, so that there's a little bit of surprise for those of you who want to show up for the ICRPG Core Set. That's about it. In a couple more weeks, we'll do another Saturday morning, and Stone Cold kick it together. Thanks everybody for showing up, keeping that chat line just popping. A mind map. Yes, I have seen those. Those are great. It's very similar, really. I don't know how many people showed up today. Did anybody see a count? What do we got? We got about, 10 people up in there? Oh yeah, sure. If, time for housekeeping. I don't do Patreon. I'm loaded with work to do, so I'm not going to extend into Patreon. I'm just doing what I do. But if you do want to support the channel, you can click the little thing up in the right on YouTube. It says support the channel. You can drop some cash in there via PayPal. But the fun way to support Drunkards and Dragons and Runehammer Games is to go over to runehammergames.com, and from there you can go to my novels, and you can pick up a novel. You can get it on Kindle for cheaper, or you can go over to DriveThruRPG and pick up copies of Index Card RPG, $6, and that's a great way to support this sort of ongoing journey. And that way you get something to show for it. You're not just hurling dollars into YouTube. So, hey, great, got 125. That's really seems like our core group is about 130 people show up for each stream. So that's awesome. Great playing D&D with all of you. There's a lot of stuff coming this year. This year, a lot of work last year is starting to explode into reality. So there's a lot of cool things happening. We're going to be on Roll20, doing collaborations with other channels. We got AtCon coming up. We got GenCon coming up. There'll be a third book. Good grief. Holy moly. Stuff is crazy. Yeah, it is. It's about time to maybe eat a sandwich, pull it together, reveal the structure of the invention than on the map. Hey, ZK. I generally consider the map to be for the Dungeon Master. So, everything will be revealed here. This is a Dungeon Master's tool, not necessarily something a player would have. But my philosophy. I'm not a big believer in revelation being the value of the game. The oh my God, I just realized that the Emperor is my dad. I don't think that that's the biggest, most fun part of the game. It's the moment-to-moment details, And I believe that in stories too. You know, it's the old Kurt Vonnegut adage that suspense is the tool of the poor writer or storyteller. Surprising people with big reveals is never quite what you think it's going to be. It's always the details. So anyway, thanks for everybody for stopping in, just kind of hanging out while I'm doing what I do. Didn't really get down to any nitty gritty today, but got right through that. So next coming up is going to be this crazy character death video. We're going to see if we can break that down into some usable concepts. And yeah, see y'all at the tabletop. Strength, honor, beer. Have a great weekend. If you're playing games tonight, go kick some ass. And I'll see you guys on Facebook and whatever. So I'm going to get out of here. Let me see if I can figure out how to do it. Let's see. I go over to this thing, and then I'm like, do I click that? Wait, what do I click? I click that, and then I push this little button here, and then I'm like, oh.